Hello and welcome back to Clownfish TV. It is me, Geeky Sparkles, and it's just me for this video because Neon is elsewhere. So I saw this earlier today, and actually I saw it a few days ago, and I've been thinking about it. But this article in Wired, of course it's Wired, you know, once upon a time a tech blog, now all they do is talk about whatever far left, you know, brain fart is that week. They're doing a article about how the manosphere and about all these toxic influencers that, you know, are male influencers. You know, Joe Rogan is the gateway to this, don't you know? And this person, that's Louis Theroux, when you look into him, has definitely a leaning of a certain agenda and has done work that also makes you believe that they're leanings of a certain agenda. And when they do this work, they only take it from a look at one certain type of person. And there's definitely something that they're trying to push here, some narrative that they're trying to go with. Now, that being said, do I think that there are some toxic, you know, influencers that are men? Yes. Do I think that Joe Rogan is the gateway to toxic male whatever? No. Do I think that, you know, Andrew Tate's kind of a piece of crap? Yeah, I believe so. I know a lot of people don't, and that's fine. You believe what you believe. But do I believe that every guy who questions anything is one of those people and is toxic unless they lean the way he does? No. And it's stupid. And I'm sorry, I don't think Joe Rogan's some toxic idiot either. He just like says, hey, let's talk about it. But you can't do that. You can't have independent thought. So here we are. Before we get into it any further, please like and subscribe. If you do, I'll give you a woohoo. Woohoo, and we're going to talk about this. So, he's got a new documentary, which apparently he's done a few of these. And it's been over 30 years since he was first given an opportunity to make a documentaries as a reporter on Michael Moore's TV Nation. Yeah, totally no political leaning there at all. Since then, he's become a preeminent documenter in the weird and extreme and the dangerous filming every one of the members of the from Westboro Baptist Church to ultra-Zionists. So he's did extremist guys, and he looks at everything as us or them extremes, and that's the problem here. And Inside the Manosphere, his first film with Netflix, and it's out apparently already. He's tackling what he only somewhat jokingly describes to Wired as the final boss battle in a gamified career of himself. Anyway, I've been circling, I can't speak, the subject for years, he tells Wired, from the Squid Game meeting room in Netflix London headquarters. It combines cult-like groupings, misogyny, adult content, creation of pornographic content, and obvious racism. Which side are you referring to? Because I can make the argument for both sides. All these taboo areas of life that I spent my TV work documenting in different forms come together in the manosphere. We have women on here having a hissy because they want to objectify gay men. We have women at your romantasy events where they're you know, sexually assaulting a guy that's supposed to be a model because they think that they have the right to. We have misandry constantly where I am literally told by other women I'm not, you know, a feminist enough because I'm married and have kids. Don't give me this shit. You can make the exact same argument. Pornography and stuff. I mean, like a lot of people that, you know, are on your side, but they were on the Epstein list. You know, I mean, we can argue this all day. But for everyone you're saying on this side, I can argue on the other side. So I would just say there is definitely a group of people that might fall into under these categories, but that doesn't automatically mean they're men. And it doesn't automatically mean they're alt-right or far-right. It doesn't automatically mean that. But just but that would destroy the narrative, wouldn't it, Thoreau? That would destroy that. So he's not just drawn to the subject because of how pervasive and influential it is, but also the challenge of filming subjects who are in turn filming you and turning your presence into content that boosts their channels. The manosphere is a broad description for a category of online figures that incorporates everyone from Joe Rogan, because he's a dude, to health and fitness content creators to crypto bros. But not every one of these people are the manosphere. Then that's not really fair, because then you're just saying any male influencer would be in the manosphere. So you're maligning everyone based on the actions. So if you're broad brushing, painting over the broad brush because of a few people you don't like, all right? He's focused on the extreme edges that push racist and misogynistic content for young viewers. Yeah. Meanwhile, Wired is constantly, you know, putting out things that are baiting and are misandrist or misogynist or racist or just different things that you could argue about from another perspective that they're terrible things too. But they're just not the flavor of bullshit that they like. And I went and looked at this guy to see, you know, what was up with him. And I was out here, the AI overview, they're saying he generally maintains a neutral journalistic stance in his documentaries, focusing on understanding extreme or marginalized views rather than openly promoting a specific ideology, political ideology. No, that's bullshit. Because you're deliberately looking for the most extreme versions of one type of person. And it's always associated with alt-right to do your stuff. He often investigates the rise of far-right extremism and the manosphere and political polarization. But I thought you weren't having a specific political ideology. So far-right extremism sounds like a political ideology to me. And I would argue there's even more insanity on the extreme left. The cancel cultures and all that came from the extreme left. You know, this is bullshit. Like they're talking about, here's the thing from BBC from 2022. I wrestled with amplifying extreme voices. His Forbidden America series was, they interviewed people on the fringes of U.S. society. There were 3 episodes, okay? The first episode focused on men with far-right views. And the rest focused on porn industry and impact of trap music. So you have 3 episodes about extremism, and right off the bat, one whole episode is just for far right views. Where's the one dedicated to the far left extremists? The ones, that, are out there throwing, explosives or, Antifa or any of that stuff. Where's the episode on that? Because there isn't, because you do have a political stance. You do have a leaning. You do have a narrative. All right. If you try to argue you don't, that's bullshit. Just like Wired does. Well, we had this, this lovely article from Wired. Everyone speaks incel now. And it was misogynist in social media terms like looks maxing and mogged. And then there was articles out there about how the internet made men far right. And now there's all these articles out there too about that, the gaming was the gateway for, alt-right. And Gamergate is the cause of everything ever. And it's bullshit. Like, you can't argue how the internet made alt-right a thing without arguing that the internet made far left a thing. Blue Sky is so damn toxic that, people that were extreme left are leaving Blue Sky because it is somehow more toxic than they felt X was. And it was supposed to be their people, and they pushed them out. I mean, this is how insane you're going. You're deliberately being misleading by only focusing on one viewpoint. But then you're trying to claim that you don't. So I think saying the manosphere means like you're implying that Joe Rogan or content creators about health and fitness are somehow on the same level in your mind as a manosphere as people that you claim are terrible, toxic people. This isn't fair. The aim isn't just to push toxic content, says him. In that sense, it's an entryway, the front door through which they get people's attention. Well, you're saying Joe Rogan and health and fitness people and stuff like that are part of that too. That's what you just said. But the aim is to engage young boys, especially get them to buy their products. Well, what's TikTok then, dumbass? It's literally the whole point of TikTok is to get Gen Zs to buy your stuff. That's what it's been. It doesn't, and there's a lot of super far leftist fashion influencers and all that over there that are women, and they're out there selling their shit, shilling their shit. But that's okay. They're out there trying to get young girls to buy their products and to go in there and listen to their lectures about political ideology and gender ideology and how to vote and all that. That's fine. That's fine. It's just this because they're trying to get young boys. They said then they have online universities, and it's a cynical grift. Again, see TikTok, same thing happens to the opposite side, but it's okay when they're swinging people your way, right? Yeah, I thought so. So he's talking about different people he went to. He filmed with a January 6th person. He explored different people. He said, who else did he say? He spent time with his Tiki-Taki, HS Tiki-Taki, no idea. He's talking to Sneeko and other people. So basically people that he knows were considered extremists or like far, far, far. He deliberately went to those people, but he's lumping everybody in the manosphere with them. So I could go argue extreme far leftist people too, and say that everybody that leans that way is like this. The woman's sphere. So we're all gateways to getting to the far left. This is stupid. And they said that the only person that wouldn't take part was Andrew Tate. And, and of course he's not, because he's also had all that stuff going on with the trafficking allegations and all that other stuff. But he said, Tate responded, I'm not the most relevant man on the planet, and who are you? You were relevant years ago? Question mark. What's valid take there? I hate to give Andrew Tate credit, but that's a valid take. You're clearly being set up. And everything you say and do, it's like there was this thing that happened back in the day. And so a psychology professor had some of the students go out into a mental hospital, and they were each assigned like a different condition they had to mimic. Okay. So they were out there and they'd mimic it. But then they did it to get in. And after they were in, they stopped like doing it so much, and they started just like taking notes about what they saw around them and how they were treated. And anytime they did anything like when they were doing observation, anything that was normal behavior, the people, because they already labeled them, would attribute it to whatever they believed was, they had. So if they were saying they had schizophrenia and they were taking notes, they'd attribute it to their schizophrenia. If you came in and you had another condition, it would be attributed to your condition. Not that, they're acting normal. Why are they here? It was, they're here. We're told they have this condition. So now we got to find reasons to justify they have this condition to make sure that, because we decided that's what they had. And eventually it got to the place where the professor had to literally go and get them out because they wouldn't even though they were totally fine and they acted normal and they weren't exhibiting symptoms of what they supposedly had, they would not release them. And I know that there was another woman back in the day that she did something similar to that with the mental hospitals for women, where a lot of times you were just put in the mental hospital because you didn't do what your husband said, or you had seizures or something like that. That she ended up doing an expose on one of the mental hospitals and the mistreatment of the patients back in the day, which got a lot of reforms made. But this other project I'm talking about was decades later. It was more recent. But the point is, if you go in looking for these things and you get these people there so you can study them, you can easily skew at everything they do to meet your agenda. And some people make it easier than others. I'm not going to say it's not true. But this person literally goes out trying to find extreme examples of things to be like, see, I told you. Look how toxic and bad they are, to dismiss them. And they only do it from one side. And it's like, no matter what you do, they're gonna look for things to say. Yep, that's because of Gamergate. Yep, that's because they're a toxic man. Yep, that's because they're an incel. Yep, that's because of whatever. And it doesn't mean it's true. It just means that anything they do is going to be attributed to that, for a documentary from Netflix to verify, your stance and to, solidify you getting to this documentary to prove your point. You have to be really careful about that. And it's a really big problem in all kinds of things. You're looking from your one point of view. You have to look at it from different points of view. And this just sounds like one giant trap to me. I'm sure some of the people he got, if he goes and finds the most extreme versions, gave him exactly what he wanted. But that isn't indicative of everyone. And I don't think calling it the manosphere and implying because it's men, it's automatically toxic is fair. And I'm a woman saying this. So nor would I think calling a woman sphere and saying that everybody that was in the female woman sphere was automatically toxic or automatically, alt-right or far left or whatever is fair either. None of this is fair. So then they said about, they talk about that Tate followed up the screenshot of Google Trends and showed a blue line, indicating searches for Tate over time, and a red line showing interest in him. Well, yeah, that's how you tell if things are, his blue one was quite high. And mine was like down near death. At the very end, mine picked up and actually overtook his. Yeah, I'm actually more relevant than you are right now. Oh, for fuck's sake, dude. Whatever. Whatever. He did this stupid documentary. Go out and watch it if you want to. I just think that, why is the manosphere successful? It's a metaphor that everything's become pornography. Extreme content feels like political pornography. Wait, so if you want to listen to people who maybe, everything's extreme to these people. So if I would say, something that wouldn't be that extreme, 10, 20 years ago, but is considered, hate speech now, like, hey, diversity and inclusion, you didn't invent that. It's not a new thing. It's factually true, but they would say, well, that's political pornography. You're trying to, attract the incels and the toxic manosphere people to your pornography. I mean, this is stupid. Dude, this is just dumb. Get a grip. I'm hoping this is the last one you do, because you clearly have an agenda. You clearly have a bias. You cannot broad brush everyone with this idiocy. So, you know what? Sit and spin, I guess. What do you think? Comment, let us know, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.